Well, we're all too familiar with toddler tantrums, kids throwing themselves to the ground, kicking and screaming in frustration. But is it okay for an adult to have a tantrum?
Should we be releasing pent-up emotions by screaming, crying and jumping up and down? And are tantrums a pathway to a clearer, happier mind? To discuss, we're joined by former AFL player, author and motivational speaker Andrew Jobling. He's a big believer in throwing tantrums. Andrew, you threw a wobbly and felt really good afterwards. Tell us about it.
Good morning, Matt and Monique. Yeah, well, when you're a insecure, attention-seeking middle child mama's boy, tantrums are part of the profile. And as a young child, I was a tantrum thrower for sure. But even more recently as an adult, leading into the year 2020 and an exciting new year, and a lot of the people I know had grand plans for 2020, and then the world was hit with COVID, and I'm a speaker, so I do a lot of public speaking. I had all sorts of bookings and speaking interstate and in schools, and one by one, as COVID hit, those speaking gigs just dissolved in front of my very eyes, and as I just one after the other, and I just felt gripped with this fear and uncertainty, and I just remember I started shaking, and I slid down the wall, and this fear and emotion and I dissolved into this tantrum, an almighty tantrum. I did the kicking, the screaming, the swearing, the crying. I jumped up and down for about 5 or 10 minutes, and it was amazing afterwards. This clarity came to me, and I asked myself a question: okay, Andrew, this is not good, but what are you going to do about it? And pretty much in a very short period of time, I transitioned my speaking career to online. Over the last couple of years, I've been able to move from a local audience to a global audience. I've spoken to many, many people, and I've probably had the most amazing 2 years of my life in terms of the impact I'm able to have, all because of that transformational tantrum.
Yeah. Look, Andrew, I'm so glad that it's worked out for you, but can I just say there is nothing less attractive than an adult throwing a tantrum. Does it matter where? Well,
Let people be people.
Sure,
tantrums are
as
good.
long as it's not
Flagrant tantrums.
As long as it's not affecting anyone else. So, Andrew, was anybody else around? Do we need to? He throws tantrums.
I love tantrums.
He throws tantrums.
Nice
all the
tantrum,
time.
How many
Matt.
do you have to find inner peace?
Do you know what? So, Monique, answering your question, there was the only other living being around was my little dog, who was looking at me like, "What's wrong with you, Dad?" Now, I don't necessarily recommend going out into the middle of a shopping centre and throwing a tantrum. What I do recommend is this: if you feel that emotion grip you, and we all feel it, take yourself to a quiet place. Give yourself a controlled amount of time and let it rip. Let it go, whatever works for you, whatever tantrum looks like for you, but limit it to 5 or 10 minutes. And I promise you, the second you get rid of that emotion, that pent-up emotion, you feel better, there's clarity, then all you need to do is ask the question, what am I going to do now? And act on the answer that comes to you.
Yep, okay, I get that. Going away somewhere and, punching your pillow or something like that, I totally see that. I just don't like the public meltdowns where it's going to affect other people, and that's not what you're saying. Andrew, I'm so glad that it has worked out so well for you, and better out than in. They say that about all sorts of things.
100%. I just want to encourage everyone, particularly men, who have this, for some reason we men tend to hold things in, and it's incredibly dangerous for our health, for our relationships, for a whole range of things. Yep. Being vulnerable and showing emotion and controlled tantrum is the key to a happy, healthy life.
Yep, I agree. Thank you. So good to talk to you, Andrew Jobling.
Thanks,
there.
guys.
More of Weekend Sunrise after the break.